Hail and well met, everybody. My name is Sam. I'm here with Tal.
Hodor.
We're big Game of Thrones fans, and we're reviewing Bran's vision from the second episode of Season 4 of Game of Thrones.
Samuel, what did you see in this?
I saw the past, present, and possibly the future of the series. We saw some shots from previous episodes and some shots that are probably from episodes that have not yet been.
Yeah. We do want to say this is going to be full of spoilers, so if you don't want anything ruined, because we've both read the books, if you don't want anything ruined, please close your ears now. Earmuffs.
So this vision is all about touching a weirwood tree, this is the tree that Bran touches north of the wall. And in the books, Bran learns to communicate Green Sea with a bunch of every weirwood tree in Westeros, so he can actually see through the trees the past, present, and future. He kind of sees a vision of Ned. And it's pretty cool. But in this sequence of the vision,
these are the ancient religion that they say the children of the forest would worship as well with the weirwood trees, and they're all somehow connected, right?
Yep. And in his vision, there's one voiceover that says, "Look for me beneath the tree," and Bran is looking for the three-eyed crow, which is seen in this vision a lot, and he's looking for a cave. And presumably under this tree, and I think this tree is where the setting of that cave is going to be.
You can see these huge, big roots that are reaching down into the ground.
Yeah, and that was it pans up from the roots to that shot, these roots, which is really neat.
And one thing from the books is that there's, later in the books, when Bran finally reaches this cave, there is somebody who's encased in the roots and actually was the one who was leading him to the specific place. Lord Brynden, who's the three-eyed crow, right?
Yep, that's right.
Was helping him get to this place or leading them to this place. And he basically is able to kind of understand what's going on around the world because of this network of trees.
And the three-eyed crow we've seen in the HBO series quite a few times in Bran's visions. Bran sees the three-eyed crow right when kind of leading him to the crypt when Ned dies.
Right.
And Rickon's down there too. It's kind of neat. And this is a shot of the crow flying through the crypt under Winterfell.
Right. It shows you this presence has been talking to Bran almost the entire time since he's had this realization of this power.
And the three-eyed crow has been directly contacting Bran and telling him where to go, which means and we're going to see some images of this possible character, but you don't need to have Coldhands as a character, who of course is the white, would you say, or beyond the wall? He's an undead.
He's an undead white. Yeah, he doesn't seem to be. So Coldhands, for those of you who haven't read the book and you're still listening and wanting to ruin all of this for yourselves, Coldhands was a friendly white who both helped Sam and Gilly get back to the wall when they were escaping a lot of the nefarious whites, helped them get back to the wall, which obviously they didn't have him in that scene, but he also helped Bran and party get to this underground cave, which is up north behind the wall. Now, I'm certainly hoping that Coldhands shows up in the series. We'll see if HBO actually does it. He hasn't officially been cast yet. We haven't seen anything about I imagine he would be CG, given that he is.
And he's not helping Bran get to where Bran needs to go, because Bran actually had this vision, which he doesn't have in the book, that tells him north.
That's right. But even if they cast him, I imagine it would just be a voice actor at that point. Even though Coldhands does not say a whole lot in the books.
Yes,
he's still a very cool character. We'll talk a little bit about Coldhands in a bit, because we have something to say about him.
In the flashback portions of this image, you see a lot from the very first episode, Winter is Coming.
This is ice.
This is ice and Ned cleaning it. And this is from a scene where Ned is sharpening ice in front of a tree, in front of the weirwood tree in Winterfell in the Godswood. So it's kind of neat because it's showing a little bit of Bran's connection to other weirwoods. Of course, he sees stuff that doesn't take place near a tree.
Right.
Maybe there's roots down here in the dungeon below.
Right. He sees his father in the dungeon below King's Landing. Right. And in the next scene, you'll actually see, that was a shot from season 1 where Varys is coming up with a torch.
With a torch, you can see it reflecting in his eye. It's cool.
And Ned's eye. It's a very cool shot. So Bran has seen that as well. Even and Bran has not been privy to all of that since he's kind of been on the run for a while.
So I thought this was interesting. This is just kind of north of the wall scenery, but it's also not in the forest. And the haunted forest is right on the other side of the wall. And in this, you hear a voice say it with a three-eyed crow say north. North. Yeah, and you can tell he's going to have to probably go north, like maybe even past the forest, which we haven't really heard or seen much of.
Right. As he comes out of his vision from this week's episode, he says, "I know where we have to go now." Simply north, right? So that means they know they're going to have to go beyond the wall, and they're going to have to keep on trucking.
beyond the wall.
Beyond.
So this is another weirwood tree that they just flash, and they could have shown this at another part in the series. I'm not sure. And please let us know in the comments if you know where this weirwood tree is from. But it's a cool looking one. It's pretty scary.
Apologies, I just wanted to feel the voice that he's doing.
I like it. Yep. He's not crying like the other ones are.
No. This is a shot from the very first episode of the entire series. This is a white or an undead wildling girl. These are the whites are the people that when the others or the White Walkers, when they kill humans, this is what they turn into. So in this scene, if you remember from the very first episode, she turns around and shows that she has blue eyes, but she's just mindless at this point. She's a mindless undead creature.
So the symbolism of this is more obvious in later images, but I'm not really sure why we're seeing Eddard Stark and then this white. I don't really understand the symbolism of it.
Maybe just a premonition of what's coming down from the wall. Obviously, there are ancient forces of Bruin, troubles of Bruin beyond the wall, and this is what's going to be sweeping down. I think too.
It also showing Bran's connection to the past and future. I think that's important, right?
And,
so maybe it's not
and winter is
yet.
coming, right?
Yeah.
Not only is winter about the actual cold temperatures, but it's about this
the darkness,
the coming back of the darkness and these evil beings.
So this is a little hard to make out, and when you see it in motion in the video, please forgive us if you can't. But there's a huge amount of ravens or crows flying through the haunted forest.
Yes.
And I don't.
And who was known to travel around with a bunch of ravens or crows?
Yeah, Coldhands actually appears to Samuel Tarley with a giant flock of these black birds to kind of ward off the whites that are beset upon him at the time.
That's why I'm hoping that Coldhands is actually in the show, because seeing something like this just gives me hope that Coldhands, which in the books it was kind of alluded to that he was a former crow himself, former member of the Black Watch. So he had this black cloak. He wore the black. He had these black gloves on, these black hands.
Yeah.
And he was very helpful. I mean, he was a friendly white. So it's a very just interesting character to show that juxtaposition of usually you're used to these undead characters being very menacing and wanting to kill everyone, whereas this is actually a really helpful one.
Or the Lord Craster's buddies with them.
Yep. Sure.
They make alliances, which is something interesting.
They do. They take the babies.
And so they do spare some people. They're not just like evil incarnate. They have a goal, and they're making alliances, which is interesting.
Yep.
Here's more shots of the roots under something. And I was trying to make out if there was an arm or a person or something in here, but
maybe
I
you
can't
can almost
really
see a
make
crown, or maybe you can almost see like eyes right behind the roots. It's not quite obvious at this point. It kind of looks like the trash heap from Fraggle Rock,
right?
But there may actually be a guy back there in the roots. So we'll see.
Of course, they wouldn't reveal that yet.
Yeah, of course not.
So we went back and forth about this until we identified this undead horse as something that we've seen before.
Right. So this is at the end of season 2. Right. You saw the shot of a White Walker, which this is not from the trailer or from the vision we just saw.
Right.
But this is the exact same scene of this White Walker
pans up
riding a
from
horse.
this horse.
It pans up from this shot
to this. The leader of the White Walkers.
So this is the White Walker that we've seen quite a bit. So you can see, he has this long flowing white hair. He has these brown gloves or gauntlets on, and he's riding this.
Take note of that.
Yeah, decrepit, falling apart, horse. This horse that's actually, you can actually see his bones and tendons. So he's actually an undead horse. So talking a little bit, they showed in some of the trailers leading up to this season.
Again, this is not from Bran's vision.
Yeah, this is not from Bran's vision, but just to kind of juxtapose, we saw this guy, and the horse we saw him on seemed to be a perfectly alive, non-undead horse. You can see he's wearing black.
Still with chains to control it, though, which other characters don't use. They use reins.
That's true. He still has chains on there.
Yeah,
but it's definitely different than if you go back to the other way. It's definitely different from this guy, right? Because he's wearing full armor. His hair is not as long. So, we wonder if this is Coldhands. It still hasn't been revealed exactly who this is, even though this other character has been shown before. But we're wondering, since, again, the horse looks a little bit more alive, looks a little more whole, if they now in the books, Coldhands rode an elk. I just wonder if Hollywood, it's harder to find trained elks than it is to find trained horses. So maybe that minor switch. Maybe he's riding a horse. But again, it gives me hope after seeing all the big flock of crows, and after seeing this guy in the trailer, that maybe Coldhands actually will show up.
Yeah, he doesn't look as powerful as the White Walkers either. This one, he looks kind of decrepit and skeletal.
And he's
Now,
not screaming. He doesn't look angry,
right.
you know.
And here's the other clue. This is actually in Bran's vision. He sees this guy's face reflected in these ice crystals. It's a really cool, hard to make out shot, and I tried to get the best screen of it. But you can tell especially in motion, you can see the eye curve.
Yeah, the eye shapes are very similar to this character. So we have to, we're assuming that it's that character, but it looks very similar to this guy, right?
And when are they going to show the reflection of a face in something, unless it's somebody talking or something sentient? It doesn't make sense that it would just be a random White Walker, but I guess we're going to find out.
Now, I don't know if we're seeing like other faces or maybe shapes in the background. It almost looks like maybe birds and stuff like that behind, so that may be some crows or maybe ice cracks. I'm not quite sure. It's hard to make out in this picture, obviously.
It's a great shot.
Yeah, but it's a great shot, absolutely.
It's really, really, and it just flashes. I didn't see it when I first saw the
until you slowed it down.
It's so fast. Yeah. So I thought that was really cool. You recognize this?
I do. It's the Iron Throne.
Yeah, and it's from a vision Daenerys had at the final episode of season 2 when she is actually seeing a lot of visions when she's in the lair of the, what are they called, the magicians, and I just can't remember. Sorry, everybody. But she sees this, and it's the Iron Throne.
In Quarth.
Yeah.
Right.
It's also, you can see the top has been melted off of it, and there's actually snow falling. So winter has come to the Iron Throne, and it's melted. There's so much symbolism here.
Right. Well, it was interesting, right, because that so many of these the imagery that we're seeing in Bran's vision came from the season finale for season 2. Obviously, that was a time where a lot of things were getting wrapped up. But, yeah, like you're saying, this is very symbolic of, in the vision itself, Dany was walking around in this area with at King's Landing around the Iron Throne, the throne room, where the roof is torn off. It looks burnt and charred as if from dragons had come in. But obviously it is snowing in King's Landing as well. So obviously winter has come and with a vengeance.
And in the final chapter of A Dance with Dragons, there's a little bit of an epilogue where they get the message from the Citadel. It's a white bird that says winter has come to Westeros. So this is sooner than later, probably. Of course, this is symbolic too. Is Jon Snow coming to, because it's snowing? There's so much symbolism here.
Exactly. Is winter symbolized by the Starks? So is Jon down there?
Yep.
We just don't know. Obviously, Bran seeing himself falling out of the tower.
There's a lot more of this that happens in the books, too. Bran is always seeing himself falling and flying and stuff. They haven't done a whole lot of that in the show. So.
No. So it's kind of an allusion to that. But obviously, this is when Cersei and Jaime threw him out of the tower after he caught them together.
Now, this is a shot that is also in that final season, or the final episode of season 2, of a dragon shadow flying over the Red Keep in Westeros. So we know also, snow is coming the winter is coming, and also dragons are coming. Maybe not literally, but maybe a dragon, Daenerys, or of course, are introduced a little.
Well, I wonder too. You got to wonder: is this from even Bran's viewpoint? Knowing that before his vision, right, he was able to. You saw him in the body of Summer, and he was eating a deer that said "Hodor" at the end, which I quite liked, but. Is Bran able to jump into the mind of dragons and actually control them? I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Certainly something I'm interested to find out.
Yeah.
And there's another shot of possibly where the cave of the Three-Eyed Crow is under this tree. And that's really what the vision is supposed to imbue into Bran, is where he's going to go. And that's what we're going to see in the next the rest of this season, hopefully, and probably some of next season too. So that's it. I
will say though, the show is moving much faster than the books have. So from here on out, we'll have to see how they're going to handle the rest of the books in the series. But they are just trucking along in the TV series, and obviously things are a little bit out of order than they are in the books. But this is actually pretty far along. In
this
the
is all from A Dance with Dragons.
Yeah, so
most of the stuff we talked about.
Most of the stuff now, but I'm saying they got there really quick, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it'll be really interesting to see where they go, and if they go even beyond the books in the next upcoming couple of seasons. But yeah, interesting breakdown of Bran's vision and a lot of stuff that obviously if you read the books you know about but may not necessarily know if you just watched the show. So as Sam was saying, thanks so much. That's it for this, and keep it locked to IGN for more on Game of Thrones.